Hello again, my dudes, and welcome back to another Elden Ring build video. This time we are making use of a weapon that we have already used before for the Swift Slash pre-nerfing build that we made to talk about how disgusting that was. Now, let's talk about the next best thing, especially when it comes to PvP, but also quite strong and quite useful in PvE. Especially when it comes to boss fights, this combination just shreds HP bars for the bosses, especially if your faithful mimic is with you. Let's talk about the weapons. So of course we are using the backhand for this build, and of course we have changed the scaling to keen, because this thing actually changes to scaling S with dexterity, and we are going all in dexterity for this build. For our second weapon, we are using the Flax. This one scales B with dexterity, which is an inferior scaling, but the damage difference, although significant, the Flax actually makes up for the difference with its not only the blood loss, because this has blood loss, but also the Ashes of War that this weapon has by default. Now, for the third weapon, which is a more ranged scenario, in case you are playing PvP and you are just like head to head with your opponent and he start using ranged attacks, it gives you a tool to go for to be able to fight back with range. In this case, for the Smith script dagger, we are using the scattered shot throw, Ashes of War, because it's a very powerful Ashes of War, especially for this particular weapon. For the keen backhand, we are using, of course, Blindspot, and this is the star of the build, to be honest, because this build is particularly good for PvP. Now, you can see right now I've got the Godfrey icon equipped. This is because I have just killed both bosses for the build video, which I'm going to showcase shortly after the build explanation. But in general, what you want to have here, especially for PvP, is my new favorite talisman, the Lacerating Crossed Tree. Now this increases the damage of dash attacks. Now the armor that we are using, Lita's armor, does exactly the same thing. It slightly strengthens attacks following a dodge roll, a backstep, or dash attacks. Now, if you combine this with the Rotten Winged Sword insignia and the Millicent prosthesis, and also the Shard of Alexander, the damage output of this build becomes absolutely ridiculous, especially in PvP, because the idea with this build is to use your backhand, and you are going to buff yourself with Exalted Flash at the start of the match, and you are going to use Mesmer Fire Grease on the backhand to boost the damage even further. And when you do all of those things, basically the idea is that you're going to run R2. And this is basically what you want to do. This is how you want your first hit to be. You want to run R2 and then blind spot, and then if the opponent by some miracle is still alive, you can finish with an R1 or a quick backstep to R1. It's entirely up to you what you want to do next. But I assure you that 9 times out of 10, this combo, running R2 to blind spot, will kill people. This thing does more than 1,800 damage. So unless your opponent have 2,000 HP, which some people do in the arena, they will just get one shot by this combo. It's not a true combo, let's make it very clear. This can be dodged, but the moment you land this, your opponents tend to panic, and when they panic, you will normally get them with a blind spot. The reason why they panic is that this attack alone, just the running R2, does more than 1,200 damage. Just this, with this set, does more than 1,200 damage in PvP. So for most people, that's 2/3 of their HP bars completely gone at the moment you hit them the first time. You can try to go with a running R2. The problem is, I found that this one is better for roll catching than the running R2. The running R2 is best to when you actually have the opportunity to go face to face with your opponent, and then you go blind spot and they're dead. But if they for some reason survive, this one is better for roll catching because it has a much bigger reach. As you can see, the spinning goes much forward than what this does. You see, I stopped like 2 meters before where I did with the other one. So there's quite a lot of combinations here. The charged attack with the backhands is actually quite good as well because it has quite a nice reach to it. So if you are fighting in PvE small enemies, you can just outspace them and go for a charged R2. This will normally kill them as well, especially if you buffed with Exalted Flash. But also the R1s of this thing are actually quite fast, and they deliver a lot of damage. And because you are doing successive hits, you'll be increasing your damage with the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, the Millicent's Prostheses, and basically you just become an unstoppable killing machine. The blind spot, as much as it hurts me to say, it's quite a cheesy way to play PvP, because with this build, you don't really need that much skill to use it. You don't need to be good at PvP to use this build and still be successful. Even if you are a first starter in the arena, but you just want to give it a go and experience it, even if you're not very much into PvP, I would strongly suggest trying this build, because as long as you get used to the combo, which is not really hard to push, just a running R2 to the L2 for the blind spot, this is not hard to learn. As long as you get familiar with this and with the timing of it, you'll just be winning rounds easy. Now, another thing I want to talk about besides the talismans, which I already covered, is the Flask of Wondrous Physique. You want to have, for the PvE side of things, the blood-sucking cracked tear as usual, and the stone-barbed cracked tear, which temporarily makes state strike easier and increase attack power, but drains HP, and it's about 1% HP per second, which is not a lot. The Exalted Flash is a must-have, especially in the arena, because it will boost your damage significantly, and I'll show you the damage in just a second. The Mesmer Fire Grease, you also want to have that because you will coat your backhand with fire and therefore do increased damage as well. The Uplifting Aromatic is a must to boost the Mimic tier, especially in PvE and boss fights, and it also gives you the safety of the bubble that prevents you from getting staggered with the first hit. Now, let's talk about the damage itself. As you can see on my right armament 1, the backhand has a base damage, attack rate of 621. The Flax has a base damage of 543. The good thing about the PvE with the Flax, it's the Ashes of War. You just charge with the L2 and then you just deliver this massacre of blows to the enemies. This will make them bleed and it stuns them. It doesn't stun all of them, but it stuns all small enemies, and the medium-sized enemies will get stunned because of the Flask of Wondrous Physique, because if you use it before you attack, you'll get Stance Breaker easier, and this thing just shreds their poise and it just stuns them. Now, it also does the bleed, as I said, but it does a tremendous amount of damage. In the arena, this is equally useful, especially if you are playing someone who is getting back paddling because of the blind spot and they don't want to risk it. You can just chase them a first time, and then instead of going for the R2, you just chase them a second time, and you can actually go for a third time, and then you land the blows. Because people, they won't be sure which one you are actually going to go for the landing of the R2 blows. This is a powerful combination for PvP. For the dagger, as I said, it's just a finisher. If you are struggling and the opponent is using ranged attacks and you can't get close enough, just switch for the dagger, use the scattered shot throw, and you should get the win. Now let's go for the usual typical examples of the Black Knight and the Blood Chief Fiend. As per usual, let's start with the Black Knight. So I already got the Mimic. Just for your attention, I suggest that when you summon the Mimic, you have the Flax in your hand, because it's actually better that he has the Flax, because he's not gonna do any running attacks and he doesn't really charge attacks that much. But if he does like to use the weapon hard. So this is basically it. Look at the damage you do from running attacks. But now for the blind spot, boom, and another blind spot, boom, detonated. Now, for the Blood Fiend Chief, I actually went with a Flax, just so you can compare how much damage this thing actually does. The boss actually nearly killed me as soon as I walked in, because I summoned the Mimic quite poorly, and it attacked me straight away. In any case, you can see the Mimic already going for it with a Flax, and it's not even doing anything, it's just attacking with normal R1s, and using the dagger for whatever reason. But here I am, charged, boom, 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 dead. And that's it. That's all there is. One charged Ashes of War with a Flax, and it's gone. Now for the first PvP duo, I actually landed in a fight against a guy with a big chunk of armor and a shield, which is perfect because the blind spot goes around shields, which gives us a good example on how to use this thing. As you just saw, the running R2 claimed half his HP, and he's wearing heavy armor, so it's no joke of a hit. The running R2, as I explained, does a tremendous amount of damage. I tried a charge to bait him so I could do the blind spot. It worked, and then he blinked, and I responded with another blind spot. GG. Now here we go, Exalted Flash, Grease for the backhands, and I get hit, and this is going to end up very quickly. Blind spot, charge there too, GG. And that's it. Now for the next one, again, Exalted Flash, Fire Grease, and here we go. It's going to end up very quickly as well. Trying to get the charged, and charged R2, 1360 damage. Blind spot, GG. As I said, it works. Now for this one, he's wearing heavy armor as well. I believe it's the Solitude armor. He's casting some spells, but this is going to end quickly. I just need to get close enough and him to attack me. There we go. Running R1. Running R2. Blind spot. I missed. But then I don't miss the running R2 again. And there you go. GG. Now this one is going to end even quicker than the previous one. Exalted Flash, fire to the backhands. I don't understand what this person is trying to do, but clearly maybe they think they've got the Moon Veil. And as you just saw, combination of the running R2 to the backhand, more than 2000 damage. GG. Now this one, again, story is the same. It's going to end up very quickly. Exalted Flash, fire on the blades, and then just try to get that running R2, 800 damage despite his heavy armor, and then blind spot to R2, and that's it, finished. GG. Now this one is a bit of a long one, simply because the Fire Serpent, some people just like to spam it, and that's fine. And this is the thing, this was like the 4th time I was fighting this guy, so he really didn't want me to use the backhand with a blind spot. So I actually changed to the Flax for this duo, as you can see, when he was actually the one using the backhand, which is fair enough. But those fire spells are just a little bit annoying. They are easy to dodge, but you will have the occasional one that hits you to the face. But I'm just trying to send him a message, please stop spamming, can we just fight? He wasn't getting it. He does me a running R2, but as you can see, he's having the weapon one-handed. He does eventually get me, but then he came close and he missed his blind spot, so I'm just detonating his HP with my R2s. I changed to the backhand to get him off guard. He does manage to hit me, God knows how, because he was really far away, but you know, Elden Ring hitboxes, what can one say? So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to let you spam all that crap again, I'm just going to blind spot you, GG. There you go. Now for this guy, he's actually going to point down in the middle of the fight. I'm not sure why, but I have a feeling it had to do with the fact that I wasn't going for his bait. See what he's doing? He's trying to bait me into parrying me. And not only that, with that weapon, he's going to have hyper armor. I cannot trade with this guy. But clearly it was annoying him. So my thing is, if you make builds that are going to depend on your opponent doing a certain thing and he doesn't do that thing, you shouldn't get annoyed at your opponent. You should get annoyed at yourself. I have the same problem when I make a bow exclusive build. If I can't use the bow, I get a little annoyed, but it's my fault only. I'm not going to point down to my opponents when it was my choice to use the bow. In any case, back to the fight, and that's all that matters. He was nearly killed, so he just started running away, wasting time. I'm trying to get the running R1s. He's doing things and telling me that I'm rubbish. And this is when he points down, actually, because he doesn't like the fact that I'm dodging everything he's throwing at me. Even this thing. I didn't dodge the second one, I actually ran into it, but I didn't get damaged. I try another blind spot. It's not working, so I changed to the Flax to try to change the rhythm of this thing. He still got the buckler in his hand. You know, you can tell this guy is playing for the parry. So he's giving me the point down. I don't usually point down in duels, unless you are using something cheesy like the Swift Slash. But this guy, he did deserve it, because he was just being an ass. So I just killed him with the daggers to keep him quiet, and he gets the point down. Sorry mate, but I really don't like getting point down at. GG. As for the next one, this is not going to be a long one, but still it was a challenging one. So you go with the Exalted Flash as usual. He actually attacked me straight away, which shows a little bit of lack of sportsmanship, but I don't care. I got a backhand with Blindspot. You are going to pay for it. So he's trying to play with lock off, which is fair. But the thing is, now it's my turn to get revenge. You attacked me, that's fine. Running R2, I actually only landed one of the hits. That was actually running R1. Blind spot, running R1. Blind spot again, GG. Now this is actually going to be a fair fight as well. This guy actually managed to put up a fight, and he's using the dragon form. The reason why he managed to put up a fight is because he actually healed in the middle of the fight. But apart from his heal, he was already dead before the match even started. As you see, a simple running R1 from close distance nearly killed him. He does manage to keep me at bay by using that spell, and then he cures himself, which is fine. I got nothing against people that use healing spells in the arena. But here I go, Flax, and then the just annihilation with brutality. It's just impossible. GG, bro. Now this next one is actually going to be a quick one. We are getting to the end of the video. But this guy was just spamming spells because he wanted to roll catch me with his rapier weapon, which is fine. It then tries to sleep, doesn't go. Backhand, R1 combining to another backhand, running R1, GG. And that's it. That's all it takes. Now this one, again, it's a bit of a long one. This guy put up quite a big fight. I have a feeling I fought him before, probably in the Souls games, I'm not sure. But this guy knew what he was doing, and he's wearing light armor, which makes it harder for me to roll catch, because they roll quite far. So I had to force myself to keep in mind to use the running R1s instead of the running R2s. And I wasn't doing a very great job of reminding me of myself of doing that, because I was still insisting on using the R1s from too far away. So I tried to keep him close so I could punish him. The R1 didn't connect. He goes with that one. I use the blind spot. He goes with the Swift. He misses, and then it's my turn. Running R1, blind spot, missed. But then he attacks me, and I get the connection of the running R2 and then the running R1 for the finish. GG. Now this is going to be a quick one, and we are getting very close to the end of the video. This guy was pretty much just trying to space me out and baiting me into running into his attacks. I actually did manage to do that because I thought he was only going to go for that one, and he actually managed to attack me. But as you've seen, he's nearly dead, and then I just get the finish. But yes, this is going to be the last one, guys. It's going to be a long one. Spell user, it requires me to try to close the distance. He keeps going with these spells, which is fair enough, but then he changed to the backhand, so this becomes a duo of backhands, and I think that's the best way to finish this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I really recommend, especially if you are a beginner in the PvP scene, to try this one. It's a good start, it's easy to use, and it's quite powerful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I really appreciate the support. I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio!